All right. Do you have a couple of seconds to pick a title and help us with a 30-second YouTube promo?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So I get to write down things that you said during the interview that would make a good title. So I'll just read the list to you. Tell me your favorite, and that'll be the title for this episode. It was a scary thing. We're going to get them out. The characters as my friends. More diversity of characters. It kept me up all night. Or what about, and definitely books.
What about it kept me up all night?
I like that
What
one.
do you think? Yeah.
I like that one. Especially it ties into your thriller and suspense work.
Yeah.
All right, let me quickly record that so that we have it. Welcome to Season 7, Episode 7. It kept me up all night. This is Written on the Edge. I'm Vance Bastian here with my co-host, S.A. Baz Collins.
Hello.
And we're really glad you're here with us. Our guest today is Gemma Johns. Gemma spent her child... Wow. Gemma spent her childhood writing stories, but her sister told her she couldn't get published until she'd actually lived a little. Many years later, Gemma has lived a lot. She writes across a variety of genres, from romance to drama and domestic suspense. Gemma lives in Australia with her wife and their children, who we just met, in a very busy household. Gemma, welcome to the show.
Thank you. And I did say to them all, stay out. I need quiet.
And they listen so well, you know.
It's the chaos. They're just leaving. Okay. The door is closed. It's my sanctuary now.
You're all ours now. We can talk about anything. So,
yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine. You're really fine. It's very fun. But your bio mentions that you've been wanting to write since you were a child. Where did the stories come from? What was the spark all about?
I think I loved books as a child and always loved reading and writing and dabbling around. You know, I was writing things like a Snow White where she killed the mother, and, you know, and things like that, like gruesome fairy tales. And my teachers were like, okay, not so sure about this. And then it wasn't until I came out that I thought, actually, I've got a story to tell now and I can start to, you know, actually make sense of it. I'd tried various novels before and none of it had made sense and I didn't know what I wanted to write about. And then over time, actually, it wasn't until I was on maternity leave the first time that I actually sat down and said, all right, I'm going to write a novel from start to finish. And I did. And then I just shelved it because, you know, it was a scary thing to put out into the world. And I did then sort of send it out to a couple of publishers and got a couple of, you know, interesting, and so I kept it in that bottom drawer for quite some time. And it wasn't until I started writing a second novel that I told myself, actually, I can do this and I can get this out into the world. And I got the first one out as well as all of the others after that.
Very nice. Well, we're here today to talk about the 3 that you wrote in 2021. Way to make use of your lockdown.
Yeah, right.
So should we jump in?
The rest of us were baking bread.
Do you want to jump into Marriage Sabbatical first, or?
Yeah, sure. So I'm actually quite a social person. And so actually at the beginning of 2020, before, you know, COVID really was a big thing, I thought 2020 is my year to write. And so what happened was I just decided, okay, I need to write. I need to get this out into the world. And my sister's actually a writer as well. And we both said, right, 2020, we're going to get them out. And then suddenly we heard that we were locking down and life was changing, and I had been writing pretty consistently up until that sort of word that there was lockdown, and I thought, well, this can go either way. Either I can stop writing and say, oh well, lockdown happened and I've got a career and I just can't juggle it all, or I can use writing as my socializing. And so what I did is I did exactly that. I used the characters, this will make me sound crazy, but I used the characters as my friends through lockdown. And I sort of, became friends with them. So the Marriage Sabbatical, wait a second, I'll just try and get that not blurred.
Oh my.
Why is it not, it's not working. Anyway.
It's a lovely watercolor.
It's got a beautiful cover. I don't know. It's got a beautiful cover. Anyway, it's not showing on camera.
I'll put it up. I'll put it up so people get to see it.
It's a story about three sisters, and I am actually one of three sisters, although it is purely fictional. And they travel from Sydney in Australia up the coast to Queensland, which is quite well known, I think, and they go up to Brisbane. They live in Brisbane for a little bit of time, and then they go up to Townsville, up to North Queensland, and through the beaches and so on. And their intention is to get to Cairns. And I wrote that because I actually am from Queensland originally, but I also, and I knew it well, so I didn't have to go on a trip to discover the places in the book, because I couldn't go anywhere. We were in lockdown. Right. And so that was where it was based. One of my sisters was saying, oh, that's a bit boring. You should make it in Bali or something. And I said, well, that'd be great if I could travel. But right now I couldn't travel. So, it had to be a place I knew well. And so what happens during that time is that the three sisters, and one of them is in a relationship with a woman, and it's her partner who says, I'm going on sabbatical for work. Why don't you go on your sabbatical too? And we'll just take time out of our marriage as well. And she was absolutely shocked and said, I don't want to do that. But they do that. And then she drags her sisters along with her. So it's a story of sisterhood. It's a story of marriages. Also, there's a lot of relationship advice embedded throughout, but not in a, this is what you have to do. This is more just what the sisters found helped their relationships as well. And two of the women in the book are mothers. They have children. One of them has 4 children, and she's juggling everything. The other one has 2 adult children, young adult children, and she's the one in the same-sex relationship. So there's a lot of stuff about parenthood. There's a lot of stuff about marriages and relationships, and a lot of stuff about friendship and sisterhood as well.
That sounds pretty intense, actually.
Yeah.
And so the line is, do their marriages need to mend or end? So I can't tell you, but that's what the book also, goes through as well.
So do you have, trying to think of this, do you have signposts along the journey that spark the different conversations between them about their relationships?
Not really. What the story is, it's got the 3 main characters, the 3 sisters, all sort of have different voices throughout, although it's in third person. So those 3 sisters are sort of telling their story or their version. And obviously, as they travel together, there's obviously interactions between the sisters and so on. But you're also hearing what's happening in their relationship and where they want to go with their lives as well, and their careers and different things. So there's a lot of transformation happening in that book. And I think, the fact that we were in lockdown at the time, I really wanted to make it a story of adventure as well. So there's a lot of adventure happening as well. But, nothing like they're not.
It's not Indiana Jones.
No, exactly.
There's no rolling big ball coming at them.
Exactly.
But it sounds
exactly
like
what I was saying Robinson Crusoe, but same thing. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, it sounds like they're crossing Australia, though. I mean, that can be an adventure.
We have spiders,
Yeah, you do. You definitely do. I think you guys even have that on us. And we've got our own collection.
Right.
But what I want to know is that I'm taking it that between the sisters, the relationships are varied. Like they're not all queer relationships, right? So.
No. So basically my objective as a writer is to write LGBTIQA plus characters that can be read by the mainstream. So I'm not a traditional lesbic writer, although my future books, I've got a couple of romances, so I can talk about those, which are probably more traditional lesbic. But I guess my books are hopefully books that anyone could pick up, but at the same time, it's getting exposed to characters like lesbian characters and so on. And so I deliberately made the three sisters obviously not all LGBTIQ. I made sure that, you know, two of them had heterosexual relationships, but one of them doesn't, and she has a same-sex relationship. And so I was really trying to, I guess, get into that women's fiction genre or contemporary fiction genre, so that it could actually get exposed to anyone who just wants an entertaining book.
Nice.
About transformation.
Right, and I think in doing that, you're showing again how much we're more alike than we are different, regardless of the gender of our partners. You know, we still have to pay the bills, we still have to get the kids fed, we still have to, you know, all those mundane things happen, and even the journey all of us take in our marriages or in our relationships. There's such a commonality in themes. You know, that different things will happen, obviously, but the themes themselves, the tropes and the things that happen to people in relationships are fairly universal. Otherwise, you know, we wouldn't be able to relate to most of the stories that are out there, you know. So
absolutely. And yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to do, was to, you know, to show that we aren't that different. And that's my objective as a writer. And I think also I love reading mainstream books, but I don't see there's enough representation of us. You know, I want to be reading a book and going, oh yeah, I relate to that character. And I think the only way we can do that is by having more diversity of characters. So that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
Very nice. So let's hop to a new genre completely, similar features.
Yeah. Well, there it is.
So there you go.
Features. Yeah.
See, now you figured it out.
You go backwards. Similar Features is a story about two ex-wives to the same man. So one of them is Cassandra, and she has actually come out. She's in a new relationship with Jade, her wife or partner. And then there's Fiona, who is just ending her marriage. And as she's ending her marriage, she is, I guess, wanting someone to understand. And so she reaches out to Cassandra and says, hey, can we have a chat? And Cassandra's always felt a little bit rejected by Fiona, like she's seen her out and about. She's never, you know, she's tried to connect with her, tried to say hello. They both know their husbands and aunts, you know, that sort of thing. But they've never connected. And so I guess Cassandra's a little bit wary when this email comes out of the blue. And over time, they do connect. And they start chatting. And then there's a lot of stuff that happens with their friendship. They become friends. But Patrick's the ex, he finds out that they're friends. He panics, and it kind of goes into this big spiral of, you know, something happens. And it says here, one murder, two ex-wives, who did it? And so that's sort of the purpose of the story. And it says, an unlikely friendship between two ex-wives, what could possibly go wrong?
Right. So can I ask who gets murdered?
Patrick, actually, that's on the first page, so
okay.
That's fine. I can say that.
Okay, I don't want to spoil it, but
yeah, Patrick he gets murdered quite late in the book. That's why I paused for a moment. But actually, there's a media story at the very beginning that has his death. Yeah, so it's actually the story itself is more about the friendship between the two women and the connection and the you know then the actual murder. But the murder comes quite late in the book, so you're sort of seeing what happens in the build-up towards this one murder.
Very fun. It's a good take on that too. I like it.
Yeah, so a bit of fun. Yeah, I just wanted to do something a little bit different. And the idea came to me. I'm actually writing a thriller now as well, my second thriller. This one I consider a domestic suspense because it's not, you know, it's not so much Similar Features I'm talking about. Similar Features is more of a of a suspense kind of what's going on, who can you trust, whereas the one I'm writing right now is actually a pure thriller, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I have to ask, in similar features, and don't tell me who, but does the reader find out who done it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Anything else you want to share about it?
No, that one's...
All right. And Shaken Worlds, your third one.
Yeah, so Shaken Worlds was actually the first novel I wrote, and it was the third I published. So the reason that we're talking about it third is it was the third one to come out.
Was that the one that you had in the drawer of the longest?
Yes, yeah. I had it for a long time. And it's a story about foster care. And it's a story about two lesbian foster carers who, they've been training for a long time. They're desperate to have a family together. They've got various reasons. One has always wanted to be a mum. The other one has been very ambivalent about becoming a mother or a parent. But ultimately, that's what they decide to do together. And then you've got Melissa. And Melissa is the birth mother. And Melissa has always wanted to be a mother, has always wanted to have children, all of that. And she finally meets who she thinks is the man of her dreams. They have children together, and the children are removed for various reasons. And so the foster carers get the placement of these three children. And so the story sort of says, sometimes it's a challenge to be a mother, but most people don't have to share that role. And I think, it's interesting because the same-sex couples that both identify as mother, and that's not always the case, but, often they are sharing that role and navigating that. But in foster care, there's a third mother or in a heterosexual relationship, a second one or whatever, there's another mother out there. And so it's an interesting thing. And I really wanted to explore that and explore the sort of the different relationships with the children. I wanted to explore the sense of loss and the sense of gain, because, foster care is bittersweet. Foster care is one of those things that, you're getting congratulated. You've got these wonderful children and here you go, and you're a parent now, wow. And then there's someone on the other side that's just experiencing the worst loss of their lives. And so I wanted to explore that. And I did it the best way I knew how, which was through writing.
Wow. That's deep.
It is deep. I mean, I think I've tried to tackle some tricky issues with I think my writing is quite, it's not as deep as it sounds, because it's also about their lives, their day-to-day lives. One of them setting up a business as she's going through the journey, so I'm trying to tackle the day-to-day as well, buying the groceries, playing in the park.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there is that emotional undertone throughout of, this is something that we navigate through. And so we are foster carers, and so I also did a lot of research. I spoke to a couple of birth mothers who had their children removed in my research for the book, to sort of really understand that. But that was the whole purpose of writing it for me, was to understand all sides of foster care rather than just the one side that you experience.
And can I ask, in Australia, is foster care only a situation where a child's been removed, or does it also, like I don't want to say orphans, but children without parents, is it also a way for them to be cared for?
Yeah, I guess so. I presume often in those cases, the family would be stepping up. Okay. And what we do is something called kinship care. But yes, I think, there is all different scenarios. There's also voluntary care where the parents have relinquished their rights themselves because they feel that they can't take care of the child. Obviously, there's also open adoption and different things as well. But, when we first looked into it, we were told, well, adoption's almost impossible in Australia for a same-sex couple because a lot of our adoptions happen. We don't have many adoptions here because it's very different to the US. We don't have a lot of adoptions here. And so when they do, they often get them from overseas. Get them. That sounds terrible, but you know what I mean. Like they often
I do.
Adopt from overseas, and that's not possible for same-sex couples here. And so, and when I rang up to find that out, they were very careful to say, well, actually, that's not us. That's the countries that we're dealing with have those rules. So, that's how we looked into foster care. And it's not that dissimilar to the couple within the book, but I am very clear to say this is not our story. The story in the book is fictional, but people do assume often that it's our story, and it's not. And it's not our birth family story either. And, I think that's important to note that, because as I said, I did speak to a lot of families or a lot of parents in writing the book as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I only ask this because it's a drama, or at least billed as a drama. Did you cover some of the legal aspects, like of a same-sex couple fostering?
Yes, there is some of that, but it's not that heavy going. It really is just a story about their experiences. Okay. But obviously there is, caseworkers and so on visiting, and, one of them tries to form a friendship with one of the caseworkers and different things like that as well.
Okay. All right. So more of a contemporary fiction and less of a drama.
Yeah. But obviously, given the subject content, there is some drama elements as well. There's a couple of trigger warnings as well, and there's a bit of angst in this story. So there's a little bit of relationship angst for both couples, actually. Oh. And there's also, just some trigger warnings of abuse and addiction as well, but nothing graphic, but just it's definitely mentioned.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to mention on any of the books?
No, and I think that pretty much covers those three. I've got another one coming out on the 26th of February, actually, dated 8. This is my first romance. It's a female-female romance, and it's about two school mothers to kids in the same grade who meet through school, but one of them is a date planner, and so she's actually planning dates for the school mums and different things, and so it's a lot of fun. It's a really fun, light one. So as you can probably see, what I'm trying to do is work out which genre I fit into, because I actually love all of those genres of suspense. I love contemporary fiction, and I love the romance and drama. So they're sort of the 3 or 4 areas, and I guess I've been dabbling. I probably go against all of writing recommendations that say stick to one genre. And what I've done is I've just said, no, I'm going to write for fun. And so that's what I'm doing.
Well, so genres are a sales tool. Don't let them hem in your writing. Life isn't a genre, life is this big complex pot of things.
That's why we have the saying, they can't make this stuff up, because that's literally how life is. Some of the stuff that happens in real life is way wilder than anything a screenwriter or a novelist can dream up, because life is messy,
Absolutely. And so Dated 8 is coming out. It's published by Spectrum Books. They're a great LGBTIQA+ publisher that publish books with LGBT characters. So it's their ethos as a publisher sort of aligns with my ethos as a writer, as well as just getting these characters out into the world. So so that one will be out in a couple of weeks. So excited about that one as well.
That's fantastic. Anything else you want to tease folks with? I know you mentioned the thriller too.
Yeah, so first of all, I've got 2 more romances coming out later this year. One, and I do like to tackle some meaty topics in that. One is about embryo donation, and a woman donates embryos and actually falls in love with the embryo recipient. So there's that. And the other one is a sort of a fling to, they have a fling, and then suddenly she discovers she's her child's teacher. So they meet up at the school gate, 6 months later or something. So those 2 romances will be out later in the year. So keep an eye on it if you're interested in any of those. And, my page on Instagram or Amazon and so on will always be updated with those. So there's definitely more to come. I'm writing a thriller at the moment. This thriller it kept me up all night last night panicking about the storyline, because I'm a pantser, which means that I'm writing by the seat of my pants, as you know, so I don't necessarily plot it all out. And so I had the thriller I was writing it. I'm about 40,000 words into it. And then suddenly my writer's group said, "Oh, what about thinking about this?" And I thought about it. And I said, "Yes, that's it." And so I plotted it all out last night. And then I went to bed and I was just like restless going, this is not going to work. And I don't usually stay up all night. I've got a busy job and everything, and I've got the kids, so I tend to sleep fairly well. But last night I just could not sleep because these characters just kept going around in my head doing all these crazy things. So yeah. I'm sure I sound crazier than I am.
No.
So who knows?
Melatonin. That's all I have to say.
And I was thinking about melatonin in my lack of sleep last night. I was thinking but I never have trouble sleeping, and into touch wood. So yeah, I think with that one, I couldn't tell you the timeline now for that one because I can either go with storyline A or storyline B, and I might end up going down A and then changing to B halfway through or something. So yeah,
finding the hybrid between the two.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Bez, should we ask some get to know you questions?
Sure, why not? Do we also want to remind people about how they can support our lovely podcast?
Yes, let's do it.
So one of the ways you can support us is either by going to Patreon and signing up to be a subscriber there. We do provide our next segment, which is the rapid fire questions. We provide those as a bonus content that's up on our Patreon site. We also have a swag shop. Make sure you go to ropepodcast.com and you'll find along the top menu section, there's a support button. Click that and you'll see the store link that takes you to our swag. We've got wonderful stuff up there. I keep adding more to it, so please check it out.
And we've already talked a bit about what's up next for you. Are you going to be doing any appearances or online events?
I don't think I've got anything at the moment, but watch this space, wait and see. I'll always share on Instagram or Facebook or wherever as well.
Perfect. And your Instagram is Gemma Johns Author?
Yes.
All right, folks, you heard it here. Gemma, do you have any final words of wisdom?
No, just, it's great that I think people are really interested in hearing about more diversity, and I think it's awesome. I'm really excited about the future of literature and books in general.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, folks. Written on the Edge is produced by Rogue Ravens Media. For our disclaimers, links to social media, our listen stations, or to sign up as a guest, visit www.ropepodcast.com. If you enjoy learning about new artists, please like and subscribe so you get the alerts for new episodes. I'd like to extend a huge thank you to Gemma Johns for being with us. Gemma, thank you so much. All right, folks. Head over to Gemma's book page on Amazon because she's got a genre for you no matter what, and this is an author to watch because she's got more coming. So pick up the book you want to read, leave a review, leave a like, and then come back for the next one. All right, we love you all. Take care, and we'll talk to you all again soon. Bye-bye.
Oh, what's that? Closing time. The bums rush in melody, dear.